Let me know once you're able to see my screen.
Yes, Amit, it's visible.
So, first of all, thanks for joining the today's session because it's a office hour and you guys have put a effort to join this session. And once again, thanks a lot for having me, SUG Pune. So, in today session, I would like to present on the Sitecore analytics part because Sitecore experience platform we are using to build up the application so that we can get the user insight how we are using that. So in terms of what type of data and what type of functionality provided by the Sitecore, so that we can build the, you can say that the reporting system which are useful for the business user to get insight of the application. So agenda of the today's meeting is the introduction, overview of Sitecore xDB xConnect, Sitecore xDB data storage, ways to access Sitecore xDB data, and overview of Power BI integration. So in today's topic, I will be touching on some part of the XDB xConnect as well as the data structure of the Sitecore XDB. What are the data is present related to the uh, user profile so that we can create a user persona or a 360-degree view of the user. And what are the different ways we can utilize Sitecore XDB data, which is filled by the Sitecore xConnect services within a Sitecore XDB, and we can push that data outside of the Sitecore to utilize any sort of reporting tool or anything. And I will be touching upon the how in my previous experience we have utilized Power BI to build a full-fledged reporting system. So overview about myself is already introduction is provided by the CG Pune, so I will be not going to this. So about the session, right? So in this, I will be not touching basically on the development part. It is more how we are utilizing. So this part can be taken care by a BI developer as well as if we are going to select a mechanism where we need to write a server-side code to push the data. In those cases, the development team intervention is required. Otherwise, the Power BI developer, or if you are having you can say that the enthusiasm to learn the Power BI right tool. So you can also dig into these methods to create a full-fledged reporting dashboard for your business. So coming to the first section is that overview of Sitecore XDB and xConnect. So as you know that Sitecore XDB is an experience database. So there are different flavors of the Sitecore CMS is present. One is the Sitecore XM and other is the Sitecore Experience Platform, right? XM is nothing but a experience management. In this, you will be not having the personalization tools which are relying on the database part. So all the in-memory personalization rules will be available in the XM topology. But while you are using the Sitecore Experience Platform, then you will be able to utilize the personalization rules which is based on the historical data, because any of the CMS platform can provide you the personalization on the basis of a user behavior. So for user behavior, you need to push data to your system, then only you can analyze and provide the customized experience to your end user. So in terms of the Sitecore, um, the XDB database is a database which is storing all the Sitecore experience database, which is nothing but all the users who are accessing your website, how they are interacting, all the user journey related details is being pushed to experience database. Any question till this point? Okay, I will take it as no. So feel free to stop me if you are having any queries. So in the XDB collection database, we are having a different type of tables which are basically being used to track the user journey, because at the end, when we are utilizing the Sitecore experience platform full-fledged, we generally need to know how our website and the content which we are publishing for the end user is being performing. So all those will be taken care by the Sitecore xDB collection database. And there is one more important part of the Sitecore Experience platform is that Sitecore xConnect services. So Sitecore xConnect services is a .NET Core based API endpoint. So what it does that it is you can say that the layer between a end user application and the Sitecore Experience database other services. So if you want to capture any type of data related to your end user, it will go always via Sitecore xConnect services. So Sitecore xConnect services is providing you the collection services, search indexer, and the collection database. So with the help of these four pieces, Sitecore xConnect will work. So generally what happened that whenever you will try to access the any of the content in Sitecore based application, so then your Sitecore namespaces which are like a Sitecore kernel or those things are making a call to your Sitecore CD server, because once you are running the website for the end user, you will be serving the content from the content delivery server, not from the content management. So in those cases, Sitecore CD server will make an internal call to the Sitecore xConnect APIs to track the user data. So there are different types of Sitecore xConnect users are there. So in this data flow, if you will see that if you are having any external system which wanted to connect with the Sitecore xConnect API, or you are having the content delivery server or content management server also, those are all will be connecting with the Sitecore xConnect API, and behind that it will be connecting with the different type of search and collection services, and also it is pushing the data to the different roles like the processing roles and the search roles, because when you are accessing a Sitecore xConnect API, it is being utilized by both content delivery and content management. Content delivery will be using to push the end user data for the to the xConnect DB, and while you are using the content management role or the content management Sitecore content management system, where you are having the admin rights and you are accessing it. So there also you are having the reporting system and you are having the experience profile. Those also will be getting the data with the help of a xConnect web API. So generally the xConnect data flow is that content management is using the reporting provider to get the reporting related data, and there is a content delivery which is using the Sitecore xConnect client API to get the data. So and behind that they will be accessing the reporting database, search indexes, collection database to get or set the data specific to the user. And moving to the Sitecore xDB data storage. So in this section, I will be providing the high level information, how and what type of data is being present, which is generally being utilized by the Sitecore to store the Sitecore contact related data. So if you will see, if you will open any of the Sitecore experience database, so you will find that you will be having a Sitecore experience database. So their shards are there. These are the database concepts. So by default, you will be having a two shards, 0 and 1. And if you are having a load on your website, so you can increase the shard from the 2 to 3 or as per your need also. So it will provide the performance improvement to your website if you are extensively utilizing the Sitecore xConnect for any sort of data manipulations. So here you will see that we are having the Sitecore contact, right? So Sitecore contact is the main entity in the Sitecore xDB data, and all the data are stored in different tables which are directly or indirectly having the relationship with the contact, because whenever you will log in into the Sitecore experience analytics dashboard, so you will be start seeing it the different type of charts, right? So that is nothing but how the users are coming into your website and how they are interacting with the Sitecore. So there are two type of website people generally will create. One is for the anonymous user and one is for the logged in user. So what happened that When any user is accessing a Sitecore based website or the application, so by default, Sitecore will create the anonymous contact ID, which is nothing but some geo ID, and it will do the manipulation with the IP address to generate the contact ID. So if you will traverse the website, so it will tag all the data with that anonymous user ID. Once you are having any sort of mechanism in your website, for example, you are having the subscription page or the contact us page, and if you have written a code that once user will submit a first name, last name, and the email address, because email address is the unique key to identify any user in the Sitecore experience platform. Then in your code base, you can write a code to create a Sitecore contact. So once you will create a Sitecore context and start the tracking for that user, so whatever the data you are having as an anonymous user, that will be tagged with this identified user. And from that point, Sitecore will tag all the data with that specific identified user. So with the help of that, you can identify all the data, like a contact will provide you the all the data. So to provide a more details how the contact entity is being interacted with the different type of entities. So if you will see in this flow diagram or a class diagram, you can identify that the contact entity is also attached with the device profile identifier and also the interaction. And interaction is again connecting with the events. So events is nothing but suppose you are having the download PDF file, or if you are performing any sort of search operation and you want to identify that how and which topics users are searching. So all those you can tag to the events, and all these can be propagated to the user entity. And with the help of that relationship, you can pull the data from the Sitecore Experience database. So this is the core collection model for the XDB. And this is the contact model, what type of facets, or you can say that the classes are attached with the contact entity, and the same entity diagram, or you can say that the relationship you can find in the database. So whenever you want to fetch a or do any manipulation out of your XDB, so you can always refer to this contact model or a core collection model to get any sort of data, because Sitecore have segregated the data in such a way that you can extend any of the contact facets at any given point of time with the custom implementation. For example, this email address list, right, and the personal information are the default facets, right, and the address list also. And for example, if you have created any sort of registration form where you are doing the registration with your website, so in those cases, you are capturing user department, right, and user interest. Those details also you can push to your Sitecore context by creating a custom facet. But the registration and the login functionality you can put on the third-party federated identity provider like a Okta or Azure AD, and then you can create a Sitecore virtual user as well as Sitecore contact to push all the data into your Sitecore system. So with this contact model, you can get all the data which are being stored in the Sitecore contact model. So any question till this point?
No, Amit, we are good.
Thanks. So this is the sample Sitecore contact data. So if you will see that, if you will make a query to the contact facets, all the facet data is stored by the Sitecore in the form of a JSON. Prior to the Sitecore 9, we were using the non-relational database called a MongoDB to store the data. In that cases, it was not the JSON data, because in the non-relational database, you can put a n number of attribute to any entity. So in those cases, when the contact are being stored, you can attach any sort of fields with your contact entity. But now we are in the relation database, and there the number of fields in a table have been fixed. So to add any sort of custom facets with your Sitecore contact, Sitecore has introduced the JSON format so that all your facet data is being stored into the in the form of JSON so that this JSON is not restricted. So if you will create any new facet and you are trying to insert a data at a runtime for that specific contact facet, then it will be added as a one more node within a JSON. So you do not need to create any separate field because you are, and also you can't create because it's a relational database. So with the help of a facet data, you can store n number of data, or you can say that the n number of attribute with your Sitecore contact. So this is the example of a contact data. Like if you will see that personal and the emails, right? So personal facet is having a first name and the last name, and the email address is having a this type of schema. So prior to Sitecore 9, it was just a attribute. You can say that parent-child relation build attribute was there because in previous MongoDB, it was a preferred key. Preferred key was having a child called a preferred email, and preferred email was a array. So you can store n number of preferred keys within that, or in a preferred key node, you can add a n number of email addresses. So, but here with the help of this JSON value, if you are doing the database manipulation, so you can get the data out of your Sitecore xDB. And this is the interaction data while you are storing or accessing a website. So if you are touching any of the page, and if you are you can say that the achieving or fulfilling any goal, or if you are having any sort of a custom data which you are inserting at a runtime to your user persona or a user contact, all is being stored in the form of array. So if you will see the goals, so suppose if in your current journey, if you are hitting the goal like a registration or a login, so all this will be stored in the goals array in the form of a JSON, and later you can access that data if you wanted to manipulate. So this is one of the sample interaction. So all the user interaction is being stored in this. So once you will log in into your Sitecore and open the experience profile, and if you will go to the any user profile and try to see the activities, so that those activities are based on the your current session on the website. So then in those cases, all the data is being fetched from this interaction rows in the Sitecore. So now I will be explaining. Now till this point, you are able to understand how the data is being stored in the Sitecore experience waveform with the help of a Sitecore xConnect, which is pushing the data to the Sitecore. Now we will move to the section where we are trying to orchestrate the Sitecore xDB raw data into the user understandable format. So how we can do that and achieve that, I will be providing the options to you. So in a high level, you can access the Sitecore xConnect data with the help of a xConnect client API. So there are two ways to access the Sitecore xConnect client API. One is that you can access the Sitecore xConnect client API within the Sitecore xConnect context. Sitecore context, it means that you need to write the code which is running within a Sitecore server. That is called a Sitecore context. Other is that the Sitecore client API. Those are the, you can say that a namespaces which you can utilize in your any non-Sitecore application. And there you need to pass the endpoint of your Sitecore xConnect client API. They are the some settings where you need to pass the URL of the Sitecore xConnect collection services and the search services to the object which you are creating for your OData API endpoints. And you can access Sitecore xConnect client API from the non-Sitecore context also. Third way is that you can use the Sitecore xDB databases. In these cases, you need to access the databases directly, and you can replicate that data in replicate means that you can create the copy of that database, or you can push that database into the you can say that to the Power BI application, and then you can further manipulate. So from my experience, I have identified a 6 type of possible approaches. So uh, let me explain via flow diagram. So first option is that suppose you are having the application which is doing the registration. That is just a sample flow is there. So you are authenticating and sending your registration data to your IAM system, and then you are also capturing some sort of PI data as well as other data which you need to store into the custom facet. As I said that like a department details or your user preferences, you are pushing that data to the Sitecore xConnect model, and that is using the Sitecore client API to push into the Sitecore xDB. So till that, it is just a data insertion into the Sitecore. How we can get out of the Sitecore is that you can create a batch job which will be running batch job or a scheduler within a Sitecore, which will be running within a Sitecore xConnect, and it will access your all Sitecore contact from the Sitecore instance, and it will you will do the orchestration. How you will do the orchestration? Like I shown you the uh, collection model as well as the contact model. With the help of that, you will be able to get a required data like contact ID you need to first fetch, and then you can fetch the personal information as well as all your custom facets, interaction and the events. You can fetch it, and you can create a model which can be easily transform the data, and you can push to a custom DB or you can directly push to the site Microsoft Power BI APIs, so that it will be stored into the data set there, and from there you can create any sort of a reporting feature. But if you are not using the custom database and you are pushing the custom into the custom database, then if you have put the data in an orchestrated way so that human understandable format, for example, first name, last name, or are stored in the table and the relational database, then you can utilize a custom API and you can build you can say that any sort of a admin pages within a Sitecore to show the charts with the help of a charts. You can say that the JavaScript framework or any sort of framework you can use and create a report as per your need itself. That is the first option. Any question on this?
No, Amit.
And option two is that you can utilize the xConnect client API, right? And you can push the orchestrated data to the Azure Data Factory. This manipulation or you can say that the data fetching can be done outside of the Sitecore instance. And you can in Azure Data Factory you can use the xConnect client OData API endpoint, and Azure Data Factory can are having the connector OData connector which can get the data from any OData based API endpoint, and you can take data there, and there also you can manipulate and push to your custom database, or you can directly push to the Power BI. That is a another sort of you can say that the ways to push the data. But here is that the main catch is there, the OData connector, right, which you are using, or any connector which you will use. So all are expecting that the data or the authentication should not be present on the APIs. So in those cases, how you can do that? Because your Azure Data Factory will be in your VLAN, and with the help of that, your xConnect client API can be secured with the help of a IP restriction or a IP filter, so that you do not need to put any sort of authentication on the resources or the requester who are within a same VLAN. So with that way, you can get rid of the security concerns. So that is the another approach. Third approach is that mm, you will be having a Power BI ODB connector. So that is also is a one sort of connector. In Power BI also you can directly push the data. So what is the difference between a Azure Data Factory and this is that with the help of Azure Data Factory, you can put the load of the data orchestration on the Azure Data Factory and you can put a orchestrated data in the form of a data set which can be directly utilized into the reporting of the Power BI. But in the Power BI OData connector, you will be having a all the uh, data in a raw format and you need to add the steps into your process to orchestrate the data so that you will be having a granular data or the filter data which can be directly consumed into the this Power BI reporting system. And there is the option 4 is there. So in the option 4, what will happen that you are using the client API service plugin. So what is the meaning of that? What will happen that there is a client API service plugins are there. So how it will work? It will work in the Sitecore context itself. So suppose you are having the registration form. So it will push the data in a real time. So it means that whenever you are performing any operation on the Sitecore contact, means identified user or any sort of anonymous user, if you are creating a contact, if you are setting a facets, and if you are updating any sort of set facets operation or the set context or the create contact, this service plugin will be called and you can capture the interaction facet implementation. You can uh, track the set facets and you can track the create contact events, and at that time you can push data to any sort of third party, you can say that the integration point, or you can push to the database itself. But here what I try to explain that I will be submitting data to the Power BI API, but you can push the data to any type of data storage system which can be further able to process your data. So if you are pushing any data to the Power BI API, there is also a limitation of the Power BI APIs. It means that if you are into any sort of plan in the Power BI, but there is a limitation of a, you can say that the 300 request or a 400 request per minute. If you are uh, means overcoming of this threshold value, then Power BI application will be not able to serve the your request and it will take a pause for a 5 minutes or a 10 minutes and then only you will be able to send the data. So in those cases, if you are having a large amount of Sitecore xDB data at a real time or in your database, so you need to think through the different option which can be utilized. Either you will directly push to Power BI or you can push to the custom database because Power BI APIs are having limitations in terms of syncing the data to the Power BI platform. And other option is that you can create the custom batch jobs, right, which is running outside of the context of Sitecore. That is the most feasible, you can say that the solution. You just need to do the database manipulation and you will be giving a rights to any service account or anything who will be able to access the database. So in those cases, you do not need to run the application in a Sitecore context. You can run anywhere, right? And you can manipulate the data. You can push to custom MS SQL or you can submit directly to the Power BI API. It's up to you how you wanted to manipulate. And sixth option is that suppose if you are working with the enterprise organization and there you are having the data lake also. So data lake is nothing but a customer 360-degree view is being maintained. So suppose if your organization or a client is having the online system and they are having the over the counter stores or they are having a different types of a businesses, like they are into the travel industry, they are into the hospital industry, and they are into the insurance, and all systems of their are pushing data to their own data lake. So in those cases, there will be only one user are present into your data lake system. So that will be providing the holistic view of the your user. So in those cases, they are having the some sort of, you can say that, the centralized endpoint which is being used to get or set the data to the data lake. So you can use any message queue, MSMQ based system, or nowadays people are utilizing the Kafka, and there are other systems are in the market which can be utilized. So in this case, if you are pushing, getting any data from your website like a Sitecore based application online, you can send data to the Kafka and you can publish the topic like user added, user updated. So if any listeners are present, listener can be a database also, and any streaming provider or anything, right? They will continuously listening to your messages. If you are doing any update, they will catch that data and they will push to your system. So your work is just to push the data to Kafka, and rest of the things will be taken care by the Kafka. So that is another approach to send the data to your centralized system. And if you are presenting any of the things to within your organization or to your client, so if it is possible to come up with a more than one approach, if it is possible, and also how you are justifying that which approach is useful. So you always needs to come up with the requirement and you need to give the priority on that. So on the basis of that, you always go and present the different options to your client or your organization so that it will give the clear and holistic picture to them which option is best for them. So in my application scenarios, I have presented a 6 options, right? So you need to create some sort of table and you need to put a rating as per your understanding, and you need to create a tabular format of a rating and you can share with your client. So with what will happen with that, it will be give a clear understanding to them why you have selected a specific option on a means you can say that the order 1, 2, or 3, and you can provide your data inputs to them also why you have selected that. So any question till this point?
No, Amit, we are good.
So now I will be going through or providing you the screenshot because I am not having the direct access to the system. So I will be sharing you how we can manipulate the data in the Power BI to create a extendable reporting system. So the processes or the option which I have explained to you, right? So from n number of resources, you can push the data to the Sitecore, to the Power BI. So in Power BI, you are having the concept of the data set. Data set you generally aware about. If you are doing working with the entity set, you are having the data set, right? So same concepts apply here. So you can store the data into the Power BI in the form of a data set. So for example, if you are pushing a data to the data set, so data set is nothing but a collection of a different databases. So suppose you are having the contact table. So contact table is nothing but a one table within a data set. So suppose if you are having the interaction is nothing but a one table within a data set. So like that, you first needs to create a data set if you are using the API endpoint to push the data to Power BI. But if you are taking the backup or you are replicating the data into the raw in a data set, you do not need to do anything. You just need to clone that data from your xDB if you are directly able to provide a connectivity between a Power BI. And then other step I have identified is that a data flow. Data flow is nothing but you will be doing the orchestration, or you can say that the data massaging in that. Suppose you have received a different type of tables which I have shown earlier in the xDB, right? All data is being you have received in the data set 1. Now you need to filter out that the data in a tabular format like first name, last name, like that, because all the data in the raw data are present in the JSON format. So that level 1 orchestration you have done in the step 2. So in Power BI, you do not need to write any code to get out of the JSON data. So there are options are present in the Power BI. With the help of that, you can convert a column JSON data into the rows. So that can be easily doable. So after that, suppose you have taken all your raw data from the step 1 and now you have created a tabular format, right? And there also you have put a condition that if some users are inactive or some are the anonymous user or that some are the test users, those manipulation level 1 filtering you have done in the data, step 2. Now in the step 3, you are more putting a effort to streamline your data orchestration. Means if I am having a contact as a Amit Kumar, right? What is my personal information that is being stored in the personal information table, and what is my interaction with the website with respect to goal that is in the another table. So that type of relationship you have made it here in the step 3, and that data, all the data is being uh, orchestrated and in a human understandable format. Now with that data flow, so currently we have not deleted any data. Raw data set we have manipulated at a real time in a data flow. Now we will push that data into another data set in a human understandable format, and out of that we can create a n number of reporting with that. So with the uh, these 5 steps, we can do the data massaging and create a table, or you can say that the set of a tables which can be easily be used to do the data manipulation. And there is a very important thing in the Power BI is the DAX query. DAX query is nothing but, suppose if you are having a 2 or 3 set of the table, and if you need to do the join or any type of calculation, you can utilize the DAX query to build up the things. So this is the second option of the DAX query, but with the help of a UI also you can do the joins or any sort of manipulation in the Power BI. But with the DAX query, you will be having a full control what type of data you have to uh, put into the data flow. So this is the steps which I have explained, like a data pushed or Sitecore DB's replication. With the help of that, you can do the cloning. And in the step 2, you can do the orchestration level 1, like a filtering out of data from the JSON to the table. And another step 3 is that more filtering the user who are inactive or active or any sort of filter you want to apply. And third one is the data. Now you are having all the data, and in step 4, and out of that you can build any sort of reporting. So now I will be showing you what type of reporting you can easily create. Now in the step 1, I will show that you will be getting a data like this. So here you are seeing that I am also getting the data from the web database also, because I need to show the content name also into my reports. So that's why I have taken a or pushed the data from my WebDB also. And whatever is the links and other are there, version fields, everything I have pushed it here. So this is a simple dashboard. So here, with the help of the data which you have received in the step 4, okay, these things I have missed. So in the step 1, you will be having a raw data, and in the other step, in the step 2, I have created a, you can say that the data orchestration, I have created a contact ID, last modify percentile, and I can take out of the name also. And in the third step, I have created a one sort of table which will be having all my data which can be easily utilized, like in the form of a contact table or a user table. Now, with that data, I am able to create a visits and the page view. Visits and the page view is nothing but a data which is being stored in the interaction table. So with the help of that table, I am able to create a visits and the page views, and also with each content, I am having is some sort of metadata, and which metadata have user have access most, that also I am able to capture it there. How I am able to capture it there? Because every page is having a metadata. Whenever user will access the any page, I am already having it, that metadata assigned with my page. So with the help of that, I have get I I selected a metadata ID, and with the help of a WebDB, I am able to get the all the metadata information, and also how many number of views and how many website interactions, and how many times user have submitted the contact us form, and how many content item to whom user is interacting. All that count, I will be able to do that. But these type of things you will be not able to get into the your Sitecore analytics dashboard. Coming to more, so in the report also I can get a list of the user who are valid or invalid with the help of a granular data which I have created in the step 4, and also how my metadata is performing. Suppose if I am tagging any my site content, and how many times are user accessing that data from a different ways within my whole website, all my metadata performance I can get it. So with the help of this view, the business user can more publish the data in which user are more interested, like a yoga, running, strength. So this will give you the clear picture, but this data you won't be getting in the Sitecore analytics. This is another form of a Sitecore data, like how many users are accessing a which type of data, metadata. Suppose if you are having a list of the users and they are accessing some sort of website pages, and that data is being captured in the interaction, as I shown the interaction uh, uh, JSON format. So with the help of that, you can easily get a list of the metadata which user are accessing. Suppose if I am the user, I am interested in more swimming related articles and I am accessing. So that data I have manipulated with the raw data, and I have created some sort of table. And also for a individual user also, I can get a view. Suppose if I want to see that specific metadata is accessing by which zip code in the world. So I can get that view also, and my specific user is belonging to which specific space. So you can add this chart also into your Power BI, and it can also provide the, you can say that the reporting of your user, like how many times user have interacted with the website, how many page views, engagement values, and how many times user done the subscription, downloaded the assets, and how many times the FAQ have been accessed. So these are nothing but your goals which you can fire to capture the data. So these are the things, if you will correctly manipulate the data with the help of these flow, you can do that. Any questions? I think I have covered the things which I have to covered, and these are the references. I can share the link offline. You can go through. So now I am ready for the Q&A. If you are having any questions which you wanted to ask to me, so I'm happy to answer those.
Yeah, sure. Amit, Rohan this side.
Yeah.
So Amit, when we see, right, it's this topics will fascinate any marketer, and when we explain them this that we can get to this level of perfection in analytics, they will surely prefer to have
Mm.
these reports in place. So
Mm.
what is it when you talk to a marketers, what is a time frame you have in mind to create such reports from the
See, okay.
XDB data?
Yeah. So generally, when you are going with the Sitecore XP, so some users, business users are not knowing how they are going to utilize their Sitecore experience database. but some business users or the marketers are very good in the reporting, right? They know what they wanted. So in those cases, if suppose they are going with the Power BI approach, right? So integration is very easy, but you need to divide that part into a sort of a use cases. For example, if you just need to get the this view, right? Like a reports of a visits and the page views. So you need to divide your complete requirement into a small set of user stories. So on the basis of that, like this story will not integration can be done in 2 days, right? And then visit and this, if it is a Power BI developer, they are not going to take a more than 1 days to build up this. Same way, if you are having the metadata performance, it's a half day work. If you are perfectly created the granular level data in your step 3. So on the basis of that, you can divide the integration, then the data orchestration is a another part, like a, this process is there, right? So you need to divide the effort on the basis of a this. Suppose data integration will be coming with the this, and this two part will be coming the data orchestration. So how data orchestration will comes into the picture? The type of reports they are looking in. Suppose if I am looking the total number of users, right? So I will not do the data orchestration for the metadata, right? That is a waste of the time. So that way you can decide things. In my earlier experience, how we proceed, we have done some sort of POC for the integration first to build up the raw reporting, right? Which is giving the page views and those and getting a contact data. Then we have come up with the small set of reporting feature which we required. And then we have added a effort for the data orchestration. That way we have proceeded earlier.
Thanks, Amit. Yeah.
Anything else I can help?
It like how does it work for like the site doesn't having the login logout functionality, like for the anonymous user, like how does it identify the same user is coming again, and what data does it stores for them?
Okay, so if you will see here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So show you. So this is the contact database, right? So
Okay.
contact data, as I said that when you are having a, there are two types of users, right? Anonymous or identified. So once you are
Mhm.
accessing your website, so there will be a one GUID will be created against you or any system which you are accessing, right? So they will be tagging those data in the form of an anonymous user, and they will create an anonymous GUID for that specific user. So now you have done went to your website and you have done the registration, right? Now in
Yeah.
the registration part, if you have written the code, because Sitecore will not automatically create a contact for you. If you are
Mm-hmm.
capturing the data, sending to your, suppose, wait a minute. Suppose if your website is there, right? If you are opening the registration form, you are filling the data and submitting. If you are directly sending to your IM system or a database or any API, right? And if you are not written any custom logic to create a Sitecore contact and identify a user, right? Then Sitecore will
Okay.
be not knowing it. I am a anonymous user or a known user. So you need to write a custom logic. You need to create a contact and you need to be, there is a API call is identify as. There you need to pass your email ID of a user, right? Who are submitting the form. Then Sitecore will be able to identify you as a logged in user, and internally it will change the mapping of anonymous user and it will map with the email ID. So once that is done, your this contact ID table will start giving you the details. It will build up the facets related to the personal information and everything
Okay.
in the background.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Hi, Amit. Hari Govind here.
Hey, hi, Hari.
Yeah. So actually, it's not related to XDB, but can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So actually, Sitecore going to launch Sitecore Cloud, that which is SaaS based, right?
Hmm.
So in the XM Cloud, XDB will not be there, right? So how they are
Yes.
going to utilize the analytics in there?
Yes. So XM Cloud is a SaaS-based offering, and I don't know you are aware about not. There is a Sitecore personalized product is there. That is also a SaaS-based product. So it's similar to the Google Analytics. So you
Yeah.
need to integrate that particular application via JavaScript or a API into a head you are going to implement, and that will provide you the personalization at a real time.
So is it something Sitecore personalized tool is
Is a
going to use
product.
kind of
Yes. Yeah, you have to use that only.
okay, so it's kind of similar to utilize using XDB like that, right? There too.
Yeah, that is a product itself which will capture your user data or whatever you are pushing it, and it will give you the insight. And on the basis of that, you need to do the, you can say that the logic which will change the view for the user. So those sort of things you have to manage in your website.
Okay, okay. And one more product is there, like CDP integration with the CDP. What is that?
Yeah, that is also a CDP, but CDP is a different from the personalized.
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, thanks.
Do we have any questions? More questions for Amit? Okay, I'll take it as no. So we would like to thank each and everyone who is on the call. Thank you for sharing your valuable time with us. Also, we would like to thank our speaker Amit for presenting a good knowledgeable session of extending the analytics only from XDB to the tools that we just saw. We are planning more webinar in this month, so stay tuned. You can find more details on the event page of SUG Pune website. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.
Thanks, Amit.
Thanks everyone for joining the session.